Welcome to Brutally Honest, the unbiased, unbought, and unapologetic review show. Today we're talking about Temtem. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Stay tuned. Temtem is an MMORPG that features a 2 vs 2 battle system. Each player controls up to 6 Tems in battle, or a shared 3 and 3 if you're co-oping with another player. Temtem features full co-op throughout the game, including the story, which, in all fairness, is pretty good. Temtem's gameplay is largely inspired by Pokemon, a fact that they've never once tried to hide. However, there are quite a few things that Temtem does much better. Pokemon can learn a few things from this game for sure. The biggest thing this game has going for it is its combat. The 2v2 battle system forces you to be more strategic than normal and plan ahead whenever possible. This game is much more like chess instead of the typical rock, paper, scissors format you're used to. Each Tem has a base element, of course, and thus its own strengths and weaknesses. Red circles indicate that the Tem is strong against said element and will take less damage or even flat out shrug off the damage, whereas the green circle indicates that the Tem is weak to said element and will therefore take more damage, sometimes even as much as 4 times the damage depending on the situation. This goes for your Tems as well, so be careful how you build your team for each area, as well as building your team with your partner. Temtem takes place across 6 floating islands known as the Airborne Archipelago, and you play a novice tamer on their way to the academy. But of course, as these things do, along your journey you are thrust into a massive conflict with a group known as Clan Belsodo, an evil organization that plans to take over the islands by force. This game sounds a lot like Pokemon, yes, but trust me, it's really not. The combat is vastly better. The systems and mechanics are amazing for the most part, and the story is much more adult-oriented. It even gets pretty dark in some areas. Temtem started out as a Kickstarter and eventually launched on Steam's Early Access, for which it sold around 500,000 copies its first month. It has since grown in popularity and officially launched its complete version 1.0 on September 6th, 2022, on PC, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox Series X. The game is free to play after the initial purchase, and it does feature an optional Tamer Pass which includes some neat cosmetic items if you're interested. It even has a collector's edition loot box that features a ton of goodies, including a statue of the 3 starter Tems, pins, patches, and even replica Tem cards. Note, this is a loot crate and does not include the game itself. It sits somewhere around $100 depending on where you live. And as I just stated, there are 3 starter Tems you get to choose from: Crystal, Smazy, and Hoshik. Or as I call them, the turtle, the monkey, and bruh, what the hell did I just smoke? There are some, let's say unique Tems out there. Yeah. But there are some really badass looking ones as well. They have their evolutions, of course, and a full-blown breeding system that you can deep dive into if that's your thing. More on that a bit later. The combat uses a stamina bar like classic RPG mana. There are no certain uses per ability in this game. Each ability uses X amount of stamina, and that can be refilled using items such as Ether. You can even push yourself past your breaking point, but such is a risk-reward gamble. If you don't have enough stamina to use a particular ability, then you can use your health instead. This will overexert your Tem and can even kill them, so be careful. An exerted Tem must rest for 1 turn before they can attack again, though you can use items during this time if need be. Note that you can also choose to rest and do nothing for your turn to recover stamina rather than exert yourself. Some moves can't be used until X amount of turns have passed, as you can see here on the screen. Water Cutting Lily can be used right away, while the other 3 require you to wait 2, 3, and 4 turns before you can use them, indicated by the colored slash mark in the upper left-hand corner of the ability. Once it's been used, however, you then have to wait that same number of turns in order to use it again. There is also a priority system that calculates your Tem's speed and determines if your ability will cast before or after your opponent's. Lastly, we have the synergy system. Certain moves will perform better if your 2 Tems have synergy with each other, or your 1 Tem with your partner's 1 Tem. There's always 2 on the field. The little plus tells you that your ability has synergy. These systems make your strategy and tactics even more critical on your journey to endgame, as well as in endgame and especially PvP. This game can be difficult at times and will be very frustrating, so make sure you're as prepared as possible before venturing out. Now, let's get back to the breeding system. You can breed your Tems to make new ones. It's great for making your perfect Tem. And you can also make a ton of money by selling perfect statted Tems and eggs in the auction house. What you'll want to do is you'll want to look for Tems in the wild with single and sometimes multiple perfect stats. The female will determine the end species, while the males provide the ability to bring unique movesets into different species. All you need is a matching type. You'll be able to pass down unique moves, passive traits, and stats that you can tweak even further using DNA strand items, all to maximize your perfect Tem team. If you're not interested in this system, you can always buy what you want on the auction house and do things your own way. At the end of the day, this is an RPG, and it's a damn good one if I'm being honest. Even if you're not a PvPer or a big endgame grinder, the game will still give you more than your money's worth by the end, and you'll have a ton of fun along the way. I highly recommend this game if you're a fan of classic style JRPGs, and especially if you're a fan of creature capture games. This definitely breathes new life into a relatively stagnant and not very utilized genre. Well, that's it for today's video. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Later.